Alright, well, I've made the keep plates, these little bars across here, which will stop the axle box assemblies from actually dropping out once it's all put together. Bit fiddly, tiny little nuts and bolts, and this is the size of them. The next job I have to think about is the springing. The full-size engine had leaf springs, which I wouldn't even entertain making, so I use these springs here. They were quite big, massive things, and they were kept inside, securely inside a tube, and the tube was welded to these two brackets, and then the bracket was bolted onto the chassis. To tension the springs, there's another block on the top here which is threaded. There's a plug in the top of the spring, and this is a socket headed bolt which presses down on the spring and tensions it as required, and that was done through a small hole in the footplate. Anyway, I'm not going to go to that sort of length, but I shall use a similar sort of system but much simplified. I'm going to use the little block on the top, and mine's going to be quite a simple one. And at the moment I've only got brass screws, I haven't got socket heads that fit, and in any case I'm not sure how long they should be. And they will bolt on to there, on the other side, and then the spring will act on the top of this, and I can adjust the tension in the same sort of way. Not sure yet, because I haven't been able to find any springs suitable, so I shall have to have a hunt around for half a dozen springs. And what I will do is I will counterbore the top to take the spring, to locate it so it doesn't wander off. I won't use a tube or anything, and the spring, similar to this, would be in that position, and then it can be adjusted. So as you can see, it's been painted. The blocks are fitted on the back, and the reason it's painted because it's almost impossible to paint the inside of an assembled job unless you're doing it with a brush. And I'm not going to use a brush because you get a much better finish with a spray can. What's taken the time is this buffer beam on the front. It's got this projection on the front here, and that was quite a job to make. Much harder than on the 7 1/4, which is often the case. Two-tone paint, still got a few bits that haven't quite matched up, but I can put that right later. On the full-size engine, this is part of a well tank. I never bothered to put the well tank into my 7 1/4 because it would only held enough water to last 2 or 3 minutes. It wasn't worth the effort, and it was quite tricky mounting it between the chassis. Anyway, that's it. Next job is assemble it all, and we'll see how we get on. Well, it's assembled. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get in every single nut and bolt because they coincided with one another and they fouled. However, being black and hidden underneath the footplate, they're not going to show, hopefully. All I have to do now is make the necessary connections, conrods and so on. But I think the next probably the next part is going to be making the pony truck which fits in there. That's swings. Well, I've done other things this week, this month. I had a go at the carving, which is on Vectrix VCarve Pro. They give you a couple of free samples, and the old gorilla came out quite well. The wood's quite interesting. I had to cut down a piece of viburnum in the garden which had gone rotten at the top, and the wood proved to be exceptionally hard, and my saw didn't like it very much, but it proved to be ideal for that job. I also needed some cufflinks, so I made some out of a couple of old halfpennies. And what I did was I nickel plated them and then sanded them lightly with 2000 grit so the copper showed through. Yeah, they're okay. This was my original design for this pony truck. And you can see this is a steel box and section through, and those are the wheels with the axle, and it swiveled about this point, and these are bronze bushes, and they went through these slots. Give you an idea of the thickness and size. That's 12mm thick steel, heavy stuff. And I'd calculated that the truck could swivel sufficiently to get through the bends in my local track. Unfortunately, it proved to be not quite enough. It wouldn't go through the points. A lot of squealing from the flanges. So I had to change the design. The problem was, of course, that the swing, the front wheels are 6 in a straight line, and these are the ones which control the curve that you can go through. So it needed quite a bit more to go round. So in the end, these were removed, and I ended with 2 sections here and just a rubbing block on the underside. So now the pony truck can swivel actually through 360 degrees. So it would cope with any track, which is probably a better thing. But it was only pivoting on these 2 points there instead of 4. So the stability wasn't quite so good. And I think, if I remember rightly, I also upgraded the thickness of that bearing there. Anyway, that's what I've got to do. I've got to make that now in a smaller version. That's it. Thanks for watching.